Hello everyone and welcome to Hopeful Moments 1. Today, we will be listening to a story about an unacceptable situation where a stranger tried to take away the wheelchair of a disabled person, despite the wheelchair containing personal information of the owner and being an essential mobility aid for them. Today's story will take you through an unexpected situation. When the woman, who started out yelling and demanding to take the wheelchair, suddenly changed her attitude and became a sweet old lady, suggesting, "You can leave the wheelchair here for me to use and I will return it when I'm done." If you find this story interesting and full of meaningful lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more valuable insights. For those who aren't familiar, a rollator is a type of mobility aid, similar to a walker, but with wheels to make movement easier. It's an indispensable part of life for those who face mobility issues, like me. 6 years ago, I had a severe stroke, and since then, my life has completely changed. The stroke not only affected my health but also deeply impacted my balance and vision. I used to be able to walk without any issues, but after the stroke, I can no longer walk steadily like before. Now, I can only walk about 6 to 7 meters on a flat surface without assistance, but each step is a challenge. If I need to walk farther, I can't do it by myself, and that's why I need my rollator. It's not just a piece of equipment, it's my companion that helps me maintain my independence and freedom in daily life. Every time I go out, I can't leave without it. It helps me move more easily and also gives me a sense of safety and confidence, especially when I need to walk in crowded or uneven spaces. The rollator has become a crucial part of my life, allowing me to continue participating in daily activities without feeling too restricted or overly dependent on others. Usually, I don't need to go out much for groceries, as I have a weekly delivery service that brings food directly to my apartment. These deliveries are an essential part of my life, saving me time and energy. Being able to stay at home and receive groceries in a convenient and safe manner brings me comfort, especially when I can't move too far or don't want to face the difficulties of walking. However, once a month or every 6 weeks, depending on schedules and free time, my mom takes me to a special grocery store that I love. It's not an ordinary store that you can find anywhere, it's a store that specializes in convenient food products, especially prepackaged meals. These prepackaged meals are an ideal solution for me because they're not only delicious but also easy to prepare. Every time I buy these meals, I don't have to worry about cooking or preparing ingredients. I just pop them in the microwave for a few minutes and I can enjoy a full, nutritious meal. This saves me a lot of time and effort, while still ensuring I can eat my favorite meals without spending too much time on preparation. My mom is always there to accompany and support me on these trips. Although I can manage daily tasks on my own, my mom is the one who understands my needs the most and always finds ways to help me feel as comfortable and free as possible. Going to this store with my mom isn't just a shopping trip, it's also a chance for us to spend quality time together. My mom doesn't just care for me physically, she's always ready to share these simple moments with me. These trips to the grocery store make me feel closer and warmer. Even though the shopping is quite quick, we always find stories to talk about, sharing the small things in life. I feel lucky to have my mom by my side during these times, helping me overcome difficulties and bringing peace into my life. We were on one of these routine shopping trips, which isn't anything too special but is part of our ordinary days. As we stood waiting in line to check out, I realized that my rollator had become an indispensable companion. In contrast to the cheap white plastic rollator covered by insurance, the one my mom bought me last Christmas was a meaningful and practical gift. It's made from black steel and titanium, durable and not only helping me move easily but also giving me peace of mind, especially for longer trips like this one. My mom carefully selected it to ensure that I could use it for a long time, and it's really a major improvement over my old one. This rollator isn't just a tool for moving, it also comes with a pouch at the back to hold items, allowing me to carry necessities without worrying about extra weight. Additionally, when I feel tired and need to rest, this rollator has a very useful feature. I can lock the wheels and unfold a small bench to sit on. This is wonderful because it gives me the freedom and comfort I need without feeling dependent on others. While my mom was checking out our groceries, I decided to unfold the seat and sit down to rest for a bit. Although it was only a short moment, I felt a sense of relaxation not having to worry about standing for too long. Each time this happens, I feel grateful to my mom for always being considerate and helping me maintain my independence in daily life. When my mom finished checking out and we were getting ready to leave, I stood up and unlocked the wheels, ready to continue our journey to the parking lot. However, as soon as I walked about 1.5 meters, a strange woman suddenly approached and grabbed my rollator. She said firmly, "I'll take this." Hearing that, I was shocked. For a moment, everything around me seemed to stop. How could someone treat me like this? The rollator wasn't just an inanimate object, it was an essential part of my life, a tool that helps me keep my independence and safety. The feeling of being grabbed by her was truly indescribable. Unable to endure this invasion, I immediately responded firmly, "No," and quickly jerked the rollator away from her. At that moment, a wave of anger and confusion surged through me, but I knew I couldn't let this situation unfold without reacting. I tried to remain calm and continued walking towards the parking lot with my mom, even though I felt like a storm was overtaking my mind. This was not just a simple surprise, but an invasion of my personal property and freedom. I know that this wheelchair is not only for my mobility needs but also a symbol of my independence and the recovery of my life after a serious accident. Others may not fully understand its importance to me, and they may not realize that their actions can deeply hurt others. Typically, when we go shopping, my mom will be the one loading the items into the car while I, with my wheelchair, stand beside it and get into the passenger seat. Each time, I feel a sense of reassurance because my mom always looks after me so carefully. Loading the car is a quick task for her, but my wheelchair is always placed next to the car so I can easily get into the seat without rushing. After everything is packed into the car, my mom will fold the wheelchair, place it on top of the bags in the trunk, and I know that everything is ready for us to head home. However, this time, an unexpected event occurred. As we were walking to the car, the woman I met in the store had followed us, not taking her eyes off the wheelchair. She stood there, tapping her foot as if waiting for something, and her presence made me feel uneasy. I didn't know why she was doing this, but I felt I couldn't trust her actions. She clearly didn't know me, and her attitude made me feel like something was wrong. So, I decided to stand close to the wheelchair, holding it tightly, not moving an inch, to protect it and safeguard my ownership. Meanwhile, my mom continued with her task of loading the items, unaware of the tension around us. She simply told me, "Go ahead, the door is open," just like she always does. However, I couldn't just walk into the car without addressing the situation. I shook my head and tried to point to the woman to explain why I couldn't enter the car immediately. My mom, with her understanding and sensitivity, immediately recognized the situation and said nothing more. She continued loading the car calmly, although I felt something was wrong. My mom knew I needed time and didn't want to make the situation more tense. Once my mom finished loading the items and approached me, she folded the wheelchair as usual. I walked toward the passenger side of the car, but at that moment, things became even more tense. As my mom was placing the wheelchair into the car, the woman suddenly started screaming, accusing us of stealing the store's property. The feeling at that moment was uncomfortable and confusing. I didn't know if anyone had informed the staff, but just a few minutes later, a manager appeared and began asking what was happening. I could feel the tension in the air, and I knew this situation couldn't be resolved easily with just words. The woman continued shouting, saying that we were stealing the wheelchair and that she needed to use it immediately. My mom, though somewhat surprised, remained very calm and replied that the wheelchair was mine. She not only said so but also pointed out the tags on the wheelchair, displaying all my personal information, my name, emergency contact number, medical information, and treatment schedule. This information clearly proved that the wheelchair was not the store's property but an essential part of my life. Nevertheless, the woman kept shouting that she needed the wheelchair as soon as we were finished. The manager, undeterred, patiently explained that the wheelchair was mine, that it contained personal information only related to me, and that if she needed assistance, the store could provide her with an electric wheelchair or another mobility aid. The manager's explanation was clear and reasonable, but the woman still refused to accept it and continued to object. This was a situation that not only caused frustration but also made me feel uneasy about how others can act without respecting someone else's personal property. The wheelchair is not just a tool for me to move around, it is an indispensable part of maintaining my independence and safety. The woman's actions not only violated my ownership rights but also hurt my feelings because she couldn't understand the importance of the wheelchair in my life. When the woman heard my mom's firm refusal, the clear look of dissatisfaction appeared on her face. Instead of continuing to argue, she suddenly changed her attitude in a strange way, shifting from a loud, aggressive person to a mild elderly woman, her voice softening and becoming gentle. "Well then, can you leave it here for me to use, and I'll return it once I'm done so you can take it back?" This statement took me by surprise and made me uncomfortable. At that moment, I felt that this change in her wasn't genuine kindness, but more like a clever tactic to make us feel sympathetic and easily agree to her request. I could sense in her words a certain subtlety, as if she was trying to create a deal to get the wheelchair she wanted without accepting the initial rejection. My mom, who was always calm and composed, was not swayed by this suggestion. She knew well that the wheelchair was not just a device for me, but an important part of my daily life, and if we left it there, we might never see it again. My mom shook her head firmly, without hesitation. She responded to the woman's request in a calm but firm voice. "We cannot leave it here because we have other places to go, and I will need this wheelchair." My mom's words were a strong affirmation of my ownership of the wheelchair and also a way to protect me from any potential problems that could arise if we agreed to the woman's request. For me, the wheelchair was not just a tool to help me move but a symbol of my autonomy and independence. When my mom's refusal was made, the woman didn't give up. She began shouting again, her voice growing angrier and losing its control. Her screams made the atmosphere tense and uncomfortable. Despite this, my mom and I paid little attention to her rage. We calmly got into the car and prepared to drive off. At that moment, I felt a temporary sense of relief that we could leave the tense situation behind. However, in my mind, there was still a lingering concern. I couldn't stop thinking about the manager, who had witnessed everything that happened. I didn't know what had happened to the manager after we left, whether he had to face the woman's anger or deal with her questions. In any case, I hoped he was okay and could get through this awkward situation. I also hoped that, after everything, the manager understood the situation and didn't let the unreasonable accusations affect his work. For me, the wheelchair was not just a supportive device but a reflection of personal rights and the right to protect what belongs to me. And in this situation, we had to fight not only for the wheelchair but also for freedom and respect for what belongs to us. This situation taught me a valuable lesson about respecting personal ownership and handling unexpected circumstances. Sometimes, in life, we encounter people who don't understand the value of what belongs to others and can act selfishly, even aggressively, to demand their rights. However, what's important is to always stand firm in our principles and firmly protect what's ours, especially when it holds significant value for our life and freedom. At the same time, from this situation, I also realized that, in times of tension, calmness and decisiveness will help us face challenges more effectively. And even if others may make things difficult for us, respect and protection of our personal rights is non-negotiable. This lesson will always guide me in similar situations in the future. And I want to emphasize that you did very well in firmly protecting your wheelchair, a device not only important in terms of its material value but also carrying the significance of independence and autonomy. However, in similar situations in the future, you might consider preparing preventive measures to avoid encountering people who infringe upon your ownership rights. Sometimes, clear and gentle communication can help reduce tension, but it's also necessary to be firm when facing people who don't respect your rights. Always stay true to your principles and never feel guilty when defending your rights. Most importantly, continue to maintain calmness and patience, as making the right decisions in tense moments will help you feel more confident and at peace in life.